All right, everyone. Welcome to another session of Q&A with Realvolve. My name is Mark Stepp. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve, and just excited to be here to help you guys with questions and answers. This session, this particular webinar, is designed to really just help you guys with particular questions that you may have about Realvolve, what types of things that you may be running into on a day-to-day basis. Not really geared for technical support necessarily. If you're having a problem, a challenge of some sort, I do recommend that down at the bottom of Realvolve there is a live chat support. Always go there and get live support if it's during normal business hours from 8 a.m. Central Time to 7 p.m. Central Time. You can go to the live chat support. If it's outside that time, or if you just don't have time to go through the chat, you just want to quickly submit something, you can go to submit a support ticket, and from that submit a support ticket, you can type in your need, want, desire, the things that you need to do, and be able to get an answer fairly quickly on there, typically within 24 hours. But if it's on the weekends, it could take a little longer, but we do try to even man it during the weekends as well. What we do on this session is really just answer whatever questions, and this will really depend on, as far as the length of time, this will really depend on how many people actually have questions. If we only have a few people that have a few questions, it'll go by very quickly. And if we have several questions, we'll go in there. If for whatever reason, if you can't stick around, you get your questions, but you want to hear possibly the other ones, I am recording this, so you'll be able to listen to it off of YouTube. We'll typically put these on YouTube. Over on the right-hand side of your webinar control panel on your screen, you should have your webinar control panel. In there, you'll have the opportunity to press the little raise your hand option. If you're an attendee, you can click on the option to raise your hand. I can turn on your microphone and you could ask your question through the microphone, or if you prefer not to be using your voice, then you can click into the questions area, and there's a chat area basically where you can put in whatever kind of questions you may have in there. So go ahead and start putting in your questions, and as we start going through some of these, I'll get to them just as quickly as possible. So some of these can be long, some can be short, so let's just see what we've got. Okay, so for our first question here, I see I've set up an auto signature, or I set auto signature on, sorry. Where do I add auto signature? And I want to add my phone number, my name, phone number, website, etc. So let me go ahead and get to that. So yeah, there's really kind of two parts to this. Number one is turning on auto signature, which it sounds like you have already done. If you go in under the settings, just for the other people that are watching, go into the settings from the drop down, choose settings. Over on the left hand side, there is the email section. In this email section, we have some different settings. The auto signature is turned on in my case. Excuse me. And if yours is off, you can just click on this. It'll turn it on or turn it off very easily, and then click on the update. By turning it on, that basically allows whenever you send an email, you click on the little email icon, it will automatically pop up with your signature already in that email. That's the purpose of that. There are other settings in here which I don't really want to cover at this point, but if you need to auto send messages or send email, make sure you turn those on as well. If you go into the templates area of Realvolve at that point, over on the right-hand side of your template area, most people will have templates in here, and there'll be places where you can put in signature. If you have a signature set up and you use the merge field for signature, it'll put the information in there. The question is how do I set up the signature? So what we can do is go into the search field at the top of the screen and just type in signature. This will show you any template that you've got in the system that is titled signature. And that's all it is. It is a template. It is just like the other templates that you may have in the system, just like any of these other ones. A signature is just another template, but it's named signature. And if you have it any other name other than signature, it won't be used. So if whenever you log in, you should already have one named signature, and it'll just have your name in there. It may just say, Mary Smith or whatever. In this case, Joe Agent. In my training piece, I have the username as being Joe Agent and the address. So what you can do from here is you can just wipe out everything if you want and get it out of there. You can set up whatever signature you want with the text, Mark Stepp, the address, any emails, any phone numbers, whatever you want to put in there. So let's put in mark at realvolve.com. Now, very basic, whatever, but we can go in there. We can highlight the information, make it bolder, set the font size larger, smaller, whatever we want, and it have the necessary information. If you wanted to go in there and create a photo somewhere, say I wanted to put a photo next to Mark, I can come in here, click on the little photo section, and if you go to choose and the photo's not in there, and I'll just, if it is in there, just select it and put it in. You'll notice that whenever I do that, the formatting is not really the way I'd want. I'd really want my name up here at the top. What you can do is click on that photo, click on edit, and then there's a place here for position. If I wanted to place that photo on the far left and have everything else positioned to the right of it, it's just a matter of changing that one setting. You can do the same type of thing if you wanted to move it all the way over on the right-hand side. Maybe you've got a logo or something and you want to put it over on the right-hand side. Certainly be able to do that as well. And whenever the signature is used that way, then it merges whatever you've got in this template into the other templates. And that's pretty much it. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. If you have any kind of signature editor, there's websites out there that let you edit your signature. You do have the ability to paste in HTML. You can come over here into the paste section, paste in the HTML as you need, and then click on save. Now I'm going to, just because this is set up for Joe Agent instead of Mark Stepp, I'm going to cancel that. I'm not going to actually save that at this point, so that we can just use the one that we've got and not mess with it. But that's how you do it. Just the easiest thing is just to go up here, type in signature, to find the template named signature. If for some reason you don't have one named signature, you can click on new template, author new template. You can then come up here and just type in signature. It does use a capital S. I know that sounds a little particular, but put in capital S for signature on there. Make sure you don't have any spaces or anything else in that template, in that title, because that's important. The used with on that would just be contact, and then you can put in the subject signature, but it really doesn't really matter because it's not even used. Putting in whatever the rest of the stuff that you've got. So if I click on signature that's in there, you can go in there, you can edit the one that you already have. Hope that is helpful. Let me just show you, so that with that signature setting as being on, and we go to a particular contact, let's go to Annie here. Annie doesn't have an email. Let me put an email in here just for this purpose. Annie at hitchcock.com. Say she has an email. At that point, that email icon becomes live. I click on that, and it automatically puts in the signature for us. So that's without that, without the signature file, if it's gone totally, then it won't show anything. And if you don't have auto signature turned on, then it won't show anything either. But that auto signature should take whatever template is named signature and put it in there for you. Hope that is helpful. Again, just for those people that are just now joining, we do have, this is a Q&A session for Realvolve. If you have any kind of questions, by all means, use the toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen, the GoToWebinar, select the question area and type in your question, or you can raise your hand if you've got a microphone, and we can just make you live and you can ask whatever questions you may have. Okay, so here's another question. It seems that some of the activities in my workflow are not showing up in the dashboard of people, and that it's assigned to. Is there a way to see the activity in, my screen is covered up. Is there a way to see that activity in the workflow? That doesn't make sense. Is there a way to see what activities in that workflow have been accomplished and which ones have not? Okay, so that's an easy one. Whenever you have contacts or properties or transactions and you set up a workflow, let's just go ahead and use Annie here for this. And I'm going to open up a separate tab for this as a just a new tab while it's loading up. One thing, just for those people that are new to Realvolve, one thing you can do is use Realvolve in multiple tabs. So if you don't want to necessarily lose one window and you want to go to another, this is a really easy way of doing it. Just open it up in another tab. Typically, you just right-click on the link and say open link in new tab, and then open it up and be able to have quick access to the different sections. Especially if you're doing any kind of workflow editing and you want to also be able to edit templates at the same time without having to switch between them. That's just an easy way of doing it. Just a little extra tip there. Anyway, so in a workflow, whenever you're dealing with workflows, you may have, let me see if I've got one here, some like, okay, buyer investor. It's just got a couple things, and every one of them is assigned to Joe Agent. Let me, just for doing this, I'm going to change one of these and change it from Joe Agent to Annie Assistant, just so that you guys can see what's going on here. So Annie is on one of the emails that's going out, and the other ones are calls by Joe Agent and one email by Joe Agent. So here's some activities that are going to be done for a buyer, investor, home finder. So Annie's come into the database. She is a buyer investor possibly. So I can come over here, start a workflow, and I'm going to start that one, and then click on next. Whenever I do that, start that workflow, it gives me the opportunity to turn on or turn off anything that I want to. I'll just click on next on that. And then we start. When do we want to start this? All these activities are based off of a start date is the milestone. So it's asking for that date, and we can pick what start day we want. In this case, Annie's activity doesn't happen until the 23rd. So pay attention to that first off. The other thing is my activity as Joe Agent is scheduled first thing as a call on the same day as the start date. So it's on the 18th. And we'll see this here in just a second. So whenever I come into the system, I've started that. First off, whenever you go to a contact, you can typically go to their calendar and look at the month, week, or day view, and you'll be able to see the activities. In this case, you see activity number 1, number 2, and number 3. This particular one, if I look at it, it's set up to call Annie Hitchcock in this case, and it is on the calendar to be done at any time during the Thursday on the 18th today. What we can do at any point is we can come over here, click on that activity, and say that it's been completed, and then it will go and do whatever needs to be done. Now, I don't really want to, well, I guess I can go and click on complete, and it will do the process. If I wanted to see that now in the full list of things, I can come over here to the activities side, and I can see the things that are incomplete, my list of things that haven't been done yet. Now, I'd put in at one point, put in Annie's birthday, so Annie's birthday's in there, and it repeats several times. The activity for the CSW buyer, investor, home finder piece, you can see there's 2 activities that are incomplete. These are the ones that Annie assistant's going to be doing, and Joe agent will do the other activity. If I want to see what's already been completed, I can come over here to the completed side and see those things as well. So there was a welcome email sent out on the 12th, it looks like, but then also for today's thing, questions about anything, and it was a call. So had I made the call, it would have that as being a completed task. So anytime you want to see that, you can do that. If I go to my calendar side and I see everything, I'm seeing everything, all the activities that deals with Annie Hitchcock. However, I can go up here to my calendar at the top of the calendar item, and from within the calendar section, it shows me a full overview of everything that I've got on my calendar, not just the things for Annie Hitchcock, but everything if I'm looking at the calendar at the top. So the item like don't change anything on here, but you'll notice that I actually may not be able to tell very well if I come here to this week. I've got the things, the one email that Annie was supposed to send out is not in the list. And that's because whenever I click on the calendar at the top, I'm actually looking at my calendar, not the overall calendar, but just my calendar of things that I've got to do. If I want to actually see what Annie needs to do, I can select all, I can choose multiple people if I want to, and I can see that, well, Annie does have several things that needs to be done. I can turn off my things and just look at Annie's activities on the calendar as well. So that's just by changing those activities and being able to see things that belong just to her. So, thank you to the buyer's agent, things like these. These are all things that she has to do on her thing. Let me just see, Joe agent. MailChimp, but they're all things that Annie needs to deal with. I can come back over here, click on the more, and choose all, or just switch back to the way however I want, and then that way any of those items that belong to Annie will go away. The other option that we have is on the left-hand side. Typically you can get to your contacts, your properties, your transactions very easily, but you can also get to the activities in a list view that's on the calendar. Now you can see I've got a lot of stuff on here that's just past due stuff. I just use this for training and stuff. But what you can do is do some filtering over on this list, just like you can do within the calendar. But I can come over here and say, well, show me everything that's for Annie. And then just those things will show up. If I wanted to do a certain order of things, I can choose the order. If I want to choose that I want to see anything with a particular tag, I can do that. Maybe I want to just know all the phone calls. What things do I have that are phone calls that Annie needs to make? And doing that very easily. So if I come here for Annie stuff, for phone calls, and I see that she's got a bunch of past due things, I know that there's a problem. There's some kind of challenge of some sort. And why is that? And that's something that we need to check with Annie, say, hey, is there something I can do? Why are you behind? Whatever, and make the calls for them if need be. But this way you can see what's going on with your other users. So I hope that answered that question. Any other questions? See several people on the list, but just not being very vocal. Hope that's answering it. Let's see if I got some things that. One thing that we added just recently for those that do Google syncing, that are wanting to, or if you've not done Google syncing yet, you can do that. Under the settings area, if you go under settings and go to Google Sync, we have an area here for setting up the Google Sync. And actually, strike that. There's one extra place that you have to go. Under the My Social Networks, this is where you actually make your connection, make sure that you connect your Google account. You do that all under the My Social Networks. Once that Google account is set up, then you can turn on or turn off the Google syncing and make sure that those are turned on. Placing a check mark here allows you to say, hey, I do want to synchronize with Realvolve with Google, and you can select what group, if you want to limit it to a specific group, what group do I want to synchronize with. 99% of the time, you're going to want to synchronize with the system group My Contacts. We do have an option here for all contacts, but normally you don't want to do that. For those people that have used Google for some time, you'll know that in your contacts, whenever you send out emails or you receive emails from people that are not in your database, Google will store those contacts in an area of the contacts area called Other Contacts. And if you choose all contacts, it will get everybody in the My Contacts group and everybody in that Other Contacts group within Google. And whenever you do that, it'll bring over a bunch of people. So just I always try to warn people about that. Again, most of the time you're going to always want to do the My Contacts. The only exception to that might be, hey, maybe you just want to synchronize certain people in Realvolve into Google. And what you could do then is maybe set up a tag in Realvolve and say, well, I only want to synchronize those people that are, past client or something like that. You can choose, or if you just want to create a generic one like Google Sync, you could create a tag called Google Sync and select that tag. So only those people that you've tagged in Realvolve with Google Sync will then be synchronized with your Google account. If you add somebody in Google and they're not in the Google Sync group, then they won't come over into Realvolve. And same thing the other direction. So you have that option to go both ways. In either case, one of the things that we've added, we've always had the ability to come here and say sync now. If I wanted to force a sync, I can click on sync now. And I could do the same thing with activities if I had the activities piece set up. Well, just last week, we added the option on the drop down here for Google Sync. And the reason why we did that is whenever you put in contacts into Realvolve and whenever you put activities into your calendar in Realvolve, they will sync immediately into Google whenever you have Google Sync turned on. The same thing is not available if you put a contact in Google. It doesn't immediately synchronize back into Realvolve yet. And there's a reason why, because of some setup issues that we've seen with Google. But we do have it on a timer. So it's set for every, I think, 2 or 4 hours. It will synchronize any changes that you may have made, any additional contacts you may have added. It will do it on a timer basis. But you may have known that, I was in the car, I added a contact to my database or to my Google contacts, and I want to make sure that it's in Realvolve. You can come up here, click on Google Sync, just one quick click, and it will synchronize. It'll force that sync, and so you don't have to wait for that 2 or 4 hour time slot to kick in. And just a quick way to make sure that they're in there. So that makes that easy. Have a question here. Are there any plans to add Microsoft Outlook Sync? At this point, we don't. we do have within Realvolve, you have the ability to import contacts from Outlook just by exporting them to to a CSV file and then importing that. Now, a lot of people are still using the Outlook that's on their machine, and that's kind of the reason why we do it that way. There is Outlook 365, which is web-based, and I do have it in my list of things that needs to integrate. But for those people that have Outlook, you can set up Outlook to synchronize to Google as well, in which case you put something in Outlook, it can synchronize to Google and then get into Realvolve. So there's still ways around that. But at this point, we don't currently synchronize to Outlook. It will probably happen in the near future. In the future, I'm just not sure how close that will be. So hang tight, Tina. We'll address that soon. Just not sure exactly. Hope that helps. Any other questions? Question here is, what is the SMS service? Okay, so in Realvolve, we have the ability to send out emails, but we also have the ability to send out text messages. And the way we do that is within Realvolve, you can set up a SMS connection with a phone number. Now, it's not your cell phone number. We don't have the ability to send through your provider the way you would normally do. We have our own. Whenever you first come in here, there'll be an option for you to select what country you're in, whether in the US, Canada, UK, that type of stuff. You can select what country you're in, and then you're able to put in an area code, and that will give you put in your area code, you'll then be able to select from different phone numbers that are available within your area code that you can use as your SMS number that's assigned to you within Realvolve. From there, once you select that number, then at that point, that number is assigned to you in Realvolve. And you can, anytime you send a text message out, it'll use that number for sending it out. If somebody replies to that number, there are a couple options here for you to handle that. It can send you a notification to whatever email address you have in your settings, which is in the My Account area. It'll send you an email notification that, hey, you just received an SMS text message. But you can also set it up so that to your cell phone or whatever number that you do currently use, it'll send a copy of that SMS message to your normal cell phone number as well. Now, by doing that, by us having this in here, whenever a message is sent, you can actually go to a contact. Let me just show you how this is done. Let me see if I've got me in here. There we go. So here I have a contact record, and in that contact record, I have a cell phone number. If I come up and click on send this, I can choose which number I have. If I have multiple, maybe I have a work cell and a home cell, I can choose that. If there's only one number, then it doesn't do anything. And then I can put in whatever message I wanted to put. Hello, Mark. How are you doing? Okay, and then I can send that. So what happens then is it sends that message, and you can do that from within a workflow as well, so it automatically sends it. But whenever it sends that message, if I go over here to the radar, you'll see a copy of what was sent. And that's because since we have our own number, we can control it. We can control the outbound and information that's in there. Now, once I get that message, once Mark Stepp gets that message, which is me, and I reply back to that message, it will put the reply back into the notes and correspondence area so I can see what is replied, but at the same time, it goes ahead and sends me that email notification and the notification to my SMS so that I can deal with it either way, that way as well. If I come back here and I want to reply again or make some kind of comment, it'll send it back to the person that that this is dealing with. So that's how those works, and that's why we have that SMS setting in there. Whenever you're dealing with workflows, just so that you guys know that you can do this, you can go in under an activity. This is just one of them. I won't save this or anything, but I could create an action, and in that action, say send SMS message. I could have it send automatically, and it would send a SMS text message. And then what do I want to send? So we can have, just like we can have template emails, we can have template SMS messages, and then we can select those as well. So whatever message is that template is could automatically go out as part of a workflow action, workflow activity action, and it would just be sent automatically. So if we come over here to the templates area, go ahead and show this to you as well, because this is kind of important for SMS. Come to your templates. At the top of the screen, you have the option of doing some filtering. I can say, well, only show me my emails or only show me my text messages. So if I select that option, you'll see that here's all the different text messages that we've got. If I look at any of my text messages, you'll see all the formatting stuff goes away because you can't really format text messages. But we do still allow for merge fields. So if maybe you wanted to send out a message to, for instance, the listing agent, and you sent him a message at some point saying, hey, I'm missing my documents, and then he sends them back, and you want to give him just a follow-up text message that says, hey, we received all the documents for, and then the property address, 123 South Main Street or whatever. That gives you an easy way to create a standardized message that goes out, but still be customized because it uses the merge fields that go along with it. You are still limited in the number of characters that you can send, but keeping everything brief and is available there. Some people have asked, what if I send a message in there and they try to call? One thing that some people do is they'll send out a intro SMS message saying, hey, this is just a status piece, status message. I want to let you know that this is not my normal texting message, so don't call. But if you send messages to us, we will get that. And then that way they won't necessarily try to call it, but they'll tag it to your contact record in their own phone. So that's an important one. Okay, any other questions? Remember, we just kind of go until I have no more questions. So if you got questions, raise your hand or put them in the questions area. Anything? Going once, going twice? There's lots of things in Realvolve. There's lots of features and functionality, and you won't learn everything all at once. One thing I do want to make you guys aware of, if you've not heard about it yet, we've not told a lot of people about it yet, just a few people for them to look at. You can go to go.realvolve.com/training, and we'll actually be sending out a message on Monday. I'll have everything in place on this. There's a couple of these blocks that I still need to finish up, and we've been waiting on a few screenshots to get those done. But at go.realvolve.com/training, there are some blocks of training that you can go through. One of them is the add contacts. One's adding properties or listings. The other one's adding transactions or closings. If on any of these you want to learn about them, you can say get started. And then it takes you into our new training facility where you'll be able to watch the different training videos. But what we've done is we've organized them in a way that'll make it much easier for you guys to learn. Since it's by category, over here on the right-hand side, it shows you everything that deals with that category. Adding contacts, dealing with tags, adding tags and stuff, all the things that's really pertinent to that. And then Sometimes we'll have some of the related topics. How do you add contacts from Google, or importing them from CSV, or adding them from Zapier? So we've got some related topics that's talking about adding contacts. And then there are some PDFs and things that you can look at, so you can click on and use those as resources. There'll be typically a class description, just kind of get a broader description of what we're doing in the class. And then links to the additional resources that are available, again, about this topic, that are in our help site, about things that are on our YouTube channel, so you don't have to go searching for them. One of the biggest challenges that we've seen is people spending a lot of extra time just trying to find the training. And so what we wanted to do is make sure that it's much easier accessible to you. You can come here, click on any particular topic, say sorting contacts. You can click on sorting contacts. And
when viewing the list of names in your list view or in your view all option, you typically want to see them in a specific order. Use the sort by to select which field you want to sort the information by.
You can pause it, you can forward it, you can rewind it. If you really want to see it in more detail, you can click on the expand window so you can see the full thing and not just the small window. So everything is viewable, much easier, and we've got it for, like I said, the different sections. I just finished the section for building workflows. So if you want to learn how to dive in and actually start building workflows, it'll take you through the same type of thing. There's 5 different trainings, and if you'll look, that's 1 minute and 19 seconds. We're trying to keep these things as short as possible and still get you the bulk information. So within just less than 15 minutes, you can learn how to build a workflow. Will you be a master at it? No, you won't. But it'll give you the resources to get there, to the link to the workflow guidebook. And then we've got all kinds of links from the help screens and other webinars and trainings that have been done. Do pay attention, like the things that Kendall has put together, the workflow workshops. She's done a tremendous job at putting together smaller workshops for a group of, I think, 10 people that go to it, but we record those. So you can go and you can watch those and learn how she does a lot of the workflows and stuff. So everything all together, all consistent. The things that I'm putting together right now, the last 2 pieces are the templates, which I'm actually waiting on a small piece that we're going to release tomorrow. You guys are kind of the first to hear this. We are instituting our integration with BombBomb. So look forward to that. That'll be available tomorrow morning. Unless hell or high water comes up, it will be there. And the workflow, starting a workflow, just how you start a workflow, and that's being put together. Should be available later this afternoon, technically, but it'll be close. So, anytime you have questions, be sure to check this out as another resource. Always, you can go to the live chat, the submit a ticket, the help section, but now the new training site is going to give you guys. We're going to be adding more blocks. These are the basic ones for getting organized. We're going to have sections for team building, for lots of other things, lots of other groupings of things. So these are just the getting started piece. We'll make sure everybody has that available. So one last call for any kind of questions. Is this helpful to you guys? You guys get anything out of these Q&A webinars? Let me know if you do. I want to make sure that you're getting these. We've had a lot of people really like them. I've not heard any complaints so far, but want to make sure that we're going down the right path. If you guys have any recommendations or suggestions, I'm all ears. I want to hear and help you however best I can. So If there's not any more questions, going once, going twice. Several people saying it's helpful. All right, guys. Well, if there's anything else, thank you. Just let us know. We'll help you how we can. And thank you for attending. Thank you for taking the time to learn. Um, I know you guys have other things better to do in your life and than to necessarily learn this, but it's going to pay dividends whenever you learn it and you know how, at least the basics. You don't really have to know everything. If you just know the basics of certain things, you can get in there and do it, accomplish the task, and get it done. And that's really what we want to do, is make sure that you've got at least an overview of what can be done, because Realvolve is extremely powerful. You just got to know that it's there, and then be able to do a little bit of looking. So you guys have a great day. Have actually a great weekend that's coming up. And if you need anything from us, let us know.